weirder.
He's not gonna stop unless I make him stop.
Congrats on being part of Cross. And, I've seen the first season. I'm just going to say you guys did great work.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. But thanks a lot.
So I like throwing a curveball at the beginning of every interview. And here's the curve for you guys.
Okay.
You both have done a number of projects. Which shot or sequence do you think was like the hardest you've done because of camera moves, dialogue, whatever it may be? Is there one sequence that you can remember that was just like, that was really effing hard?
Wow. I mean, there's a number from this project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one from this project.
Here you go.
Okay. There's a scene where he's knocking my teeth out.
As one does. As you do on a Tuesday afternoon. What else are you going to do?
Which was incredibly hard. It was the end of the day. It was the last shot of the day. As often happens on set, you sort of are running out of time. And there's a sort of like, we just need to get the shot. And it was a close up on my face. And the director was like, okay, Eloise, if you can you, I'm crying because as I am in much of the show, not off screen, on screen.
She's a crybaby.
Yeah. He's like, when he pulls the scalpel away, if you could just have one tear come down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ryan looked at me and was like, Ryan was like, I don't know if she can do it.
Yeah, I was like, guys, let's not ask the actor to have one tear slowly fall on cue.
Right,
that's a little ridiculous.
Right when you pull the scalpel.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, action. And then Eloise was like, bam. And I was like, wow, okay.
And I don't even think it's in the show.
I asked that it be cut. I was like, that's incredible.
Ryan called later and was like, cut that.
I was like, guys, that upstaged me. Get it out of here. No, it was.
That was hard. I think
great.
moments like that are always when, because, as every film set is, there's a whole village of people off screen and everything gets really quiet.
Yeah, that was what I forgot
really
about that.
calm.
That was ridiculous. Yeah.
And you just have to do it. I'm sure Ryan's had lots of moments like that in his life where it just all comes down to you and whether you can do something or not.
Yeah. I don't have any stories as good as that. I mean, I was thinking about, like, I had to do car stunts in Blacklist, and I remember doing wheelies and trying to figure out that stuff, and this thing crashing into things. That was very like action packed and scary with real impact and cars moving fast and screeching. That was a good time.
Yeah. I like the fact that with actors, I don't think people realize, people train their whole lives to do something, and then an actor is asked to make themselves look like they can do it on like this professional level after like 2 hours of training.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And car stuff's particularly scary, I think, because there's everyone who you have grown to love is around you.
Yeah.
And like the camera operator who you adore is right there.
We're putting the actor in the car now. She's going to go 75.
Stop right on this mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe's going to be standing here. You drive as fast as you can and stop right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Joe is, he's okay.
Yeah. So this is joking, but sort of serious. You guys really put each other, like Ryan, you put her through the ringer on this show. So, you know what I mean? Like when you see him and his face now, are you like, is there a little bit of, because it's like, there's a lot of intense stuff that you guys are doing.
I should explain, before we had done this stuff, when she saw my face, she didn't like it. Yeah. I remember we met on day one and she was like, this guy, I have to work with this guy. And I was offended, but I understood, it's a weird looking face and you have every right.
Yeah. It's actually why he dyed his hair, so that he looked.
So it would be a little more palatable to you. That's a good question, actually. I'm also curious. At least I don't have the hair. I probably don't look quite the same.
It's complicated. No, I mean, honestly, we filmed this a year and a half ago, and I'm actually just honestly thrilled to see Ryan. I feel like we really trauma bonded through what we had to do together, and there's a certain level of trust that you have to build.
I think at the time, though, it probably was that way. I mean, don't you think, like, at the time, in the moment on set, like when we saw each other, it probably was. I mean, by the end of the shoot, when we were immersed in the world and the character, and so many of our scenes were like such a power dynamic, captor and captive and torturing and, instilling pain and fear and all these things that I'm sure a break from my face
for
was
sure. Well, I will say I went to do ADR, like, I forget how long, couple months maybe after we finished filming, and your face came on screen in ADR, God. And my heart, like, I actually had like a physical response. Like I was like, and I got in the car after I finished ADR and I wept, like I sobbed. And I think it's just because it was still all, your body doesn't know it's fake.
Right.
Like your brain does.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. But I do feel like, it's funny looking in his eyes.
Well, and I think it's just a testament to the work that Eloise did, and hopefully I was there with you, in terms of creating a safe space where we could go to those places that are a little scary and a little unknown and a little darker, and and live somewhere else and sort of find those moments truthfully. I mean,
I have such tremendous respect for Ryan and the amount of trust that we built, and like, as you can tell, he's an incredibly kind and generous man. So much love for that, and that allowed us, I think, to go to those.
We had some laughs too amid teeth ripping out.
You had to. I was like
it was
spitting on
heavy.
him at certain points.
Yes, like, there was the spitting. Yeah, it was a good time.
He's seen more of the inside of my mouth than
anybody. Yeah.
Ryan, actually, I have a question for you. I'm sure for you, it was to get to play this kind of like bad person. This, it must have been the first few days on set. It must have been just a joy to enter that headspace. But then at a certain point, you're staying in that headspace for a long time. At what point of the shoot were you like, okay, when does this shoot end? Because I need to stop doing this.
Wow, that's very funny and insightful, because I literally was just saying exactly that. Yes, so fun at first because it's so freeing. The hero is bound by the rules. You got to play by the rules. You got to save people. You can't. There's a morality and a compass there, and there are lines. And for the villain, there aren't those lines. There's no morality. There's no rules you can't break, especially if you're sociopathic, psychopathic, killing people. So yes, it was, especially coming from playing the hero for a handful of years, it was really fun to just inhabit a ruthlessness and a complete disregard for anyone but his own selfish pursuits. And it was there's a freedom there that's really fun. But then by the end, you show up and you've got like scissors in one hand and a scalpel in the other, and you're like, I'm going to torture you again. I'm sorry. And she's like, really? Again today? I'm like, they wrote it. I'm sorry about that. And then you do it again. And after a while, your body does start to take home that kind of experience, which is heavy, especially when you're acting opposite Eloise, and the fear and the anxiety and everything feels so real. As the character, you're loving it because this Ramsey sort of gets off on this sort of power thing and the control and the fear. But as the actor, you're like, I'm sorry, I don't want to hurt you anymore. Yeah.
But how good is he in the show? I mean, like,
I'm saying that if you don't buy into what you two are doing, the whole thing does not work. Like, sure. It's such an integral part of this season. So I love talking to actors about the way they get ready for a project, and you guys are so vastly different in what you're asked to do this season. So it's the first day of filming is coming up on this Monday. What is it like for both of you, like the weeks leading up to that? What are you doing to prepare? And what is it like those last few days when you're just about to start filming?
Well, I think we were both watching a lot of documentaries about serial killers.
Yeah,
alone in our hotel room.
We should have got like a screening room.
I know. I didn't know you were also watching the Eileen Wuornos documentary.
Yeah, I had to.
So I sort of that sort of intellectual prep, and then personally, I actually sort of went a zigzag way in prep for Shannon, in that I wanted to. As an art lover, I figured the thing that she would be thinking about in the moments where she needed to calm herself and find strength would be an art piece. And for me, it would have been music. As you're like locked in a cabinet trying to figure out like what would make you feel safe, right? When you feel incredibly unsafe. And for her, I thought it would be art. So diving into fine art and figuring out what art pieces I could imagine in my mind's eye that would bring me to that same place was a really interesting and cool way in for me. And so I walked around Toronto a lot listening to podcasts about art history.
I wish we could have had like a side by side of you listening to podcasts about art history and me just playing like Dahmer and Bundy at the same time and just obsessing. For me, I really wanted to figure out, like, obviously this is not a part you can go method with, this may be quite a surprise, but I've never killed anybody before. And so you try to figure out, why, how does someone get here and what makes you tick, what drives you to do this, and figure that out as a human being, not just as a caricature. Like, how does somebody get to this place where you are like animalistic, brutal, ruthless, horrific, behavior. And so that, and then also, of course, I don't want this to be misleading, but you find the places in yourself where you can connect. And by that, I simply mean we've all been cut off on the freeway and you go and you have that feeling of, you take a moment like that and you magnify it and you explore it and you go into it and go, where does that rage come from? And you explore those parts of yourself,
On that note, I got to stop. I'm just going to say congrats and good luck with the rest of your speed dating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.